Who was Prophet Muhammad? A kind preacher? A spiritual guide? Or a revolutionary who shattered the foundations of ignorance, oppression, and inequality? In the Visage of Prophet Muhammad, Ali Shariati, one of the most influential modern Islamic thinkers, challenges the conventional portrayal of the Prophet. He doesn't just describe Muhammad as a religious figure, he presents him as a leader, a reformer, and a liberator. Shariati's vision of the Prophet is not about rituals and traditions, it is about action, justice, and building a society based on human dignity. Let's explore his powerful perspective on the true essence of the Prophet's mission. Know who was the Prophet Muhammad? More than a religious leader, a revolutionary guide. Many see the Prophet only as a religious teacher, but Shariati argues that he was also a social reformer, a political strategist, and a liberator. He didn't just preach faith, he changed an entire civilization. The Prophet's role in transforming society: he fought against the tribal system of oppression and class division. He empowered the weak, the poor, and the enslaved. He challenged corrupt leaders who exploited religion for power. Key takeaway: the Prophet was not just a messenger of faith, he was a force of change. Know the Prophet's struggle against injustice. Islam as a revolution against corruption. When the Prophet began his mission, Arabia was dominated by tribal divisions, the powerful oppressed the weak. Economic exploitation: the rich controlled wealth while the poor suffered. Religious corruption: pagan leaders used idols to justify oppression. How the Prophet changed this: he introduced equality, abolishing the idea of superior tribes and making all people equal before God. He stood against economic injustice, promoting fairness in trade and charity for the poor. He redefined leadership: a leader should serve the people, not control them. Key takeaway: the Prophet was not just teaching prayers, he was creating a just society. Know Islam, a movement for human liberation. The Prophet's message was about freedom. Shariati emphasizes that Islam is not a religion of submission, it is a movement of liberation. The Prophet's mission was to free people from ignorance, oppression, and material enslavement. What did he liberate people from? Slavery of the body, freeing the oppressed from social injustice. Slavery of the mind, ending superstition and blind tradition. Slavery of the soul, connecting people directly to God, without intermediaries. Key takeaway: the Prophet didn't just tell people what to believe, he set them free from all forms of enslavement. Know Islam versus institutionalized religion. How Islam was transformed after the Prophet's death. Shariati warns that over time, Islam was turned into an institutionalized religion, one that served kings, rulers, and power seekers. The true revolutionary essence of Islam was buried under rituals, dogma, and political manipulation. The Prophet wanted action, not passive faith. The early Muslims fought for justice, knowledge, and equality. Later, Islam was turned into a tool for justifying oppression, hierarchy, and submission to unjust rulers. Key takeaway: true Islam is not about blindly following rituals, it's about awakening human dignity and fighting for truth. Know the Prophet's legacy, what it means for us today. The Prophet as a model for modern resistance. Shariati argues that the Prophet's message is more relevant today than ever, because injustice still exists. Islam must return to its roots as a movement for freedom, equality, and truth. What can we learn from the Prophet? Faith must lead to action. Islam is not just about personal spirituality. Challenging oppression is a religious duty, not just a political idea. True leadership is about serving others, not controlling them. Key takeaway: if we want to follow the Prophet, we must stand for truth, serve humanity, and resist oppression, just as he did. Final thoughts: why this book matters. Ali Shariati's The Visage of Prophet Muhammad challenges us to see the Prophet beyond myths and traditions. He was not just a preacher, he was a liberator, a leader, and a revolutionary. Islam is not a passive religion, it is a movement for justice and human dignity. The Prophet taught us that faith without action is meaningless. His message is still alive, if we are willing to embrace it. What do you think is the most important lesson from the life of Prophet Muhammad? Let us know in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe for more powerful book summaries on Islamic history and philosophy. Turn on notifications so you never miss a new video.